Hey everyone, and welcome back to The Screeny. My 600 Pound Life is a reality TV series about morbidly obese people who are over 600 pounds trying to get their weight in order. While for most, this ends up being a journey to health, others are not so lucky. Sadly, there are cast members on this show who have faced a tragic end as a result of their obesity. In this video, we'll be looking at my 600 pound guests who tragically passed away. Get your tissues because this is going to be a sad one. Before we begin, make sure to like the video and subscribe to our channel for more amazing videos about your favorite movies and TV shows. Number 5. Sean Milliken. Sean first appeared on TLC's show in March of 2016. At the time, he was the heaviest person ever seen on the show, weighing in at a staggering 919 pounds. His mother was his primary caretaker, and her job included doing everything for him, even cleaning him. She mentioned that it got to a point where cleaning him on her own was too much of a task because of how big he was. But she had to push herself to do it because Sean needed to be clean 100% of the time, as he would often have open sores. On the show, Sean talked about how his food addiction started. He mentioned that when he was a lot younger, things were really rough between him and his dad. When his dad was angry, he would often yell at him and back him up to a corner. To escape from all of that, he found solace in food. In his words, in that moment, nothing else matters, referring to when he's munching on something. However, what he didn't know as a child was that what was giving him short-term satisfaction would eventually cause long-term damage, the most tragic one at that. At just 18 years of age, Sean had become too heavy to go out in public. He was bedridden for 8 more years before he appeared on the show when he was 26, and then 3 years later till he tragically passed away. Dying was something Sean often spoke about, tragically saying that he didn't think he was going to live past 30, and sadly, he was right. But things were not looking so gloomy for him. In fact, Sean managed to lose a staggering 400 pounds throughout the course of his weight loss journey. However, things started to go downhill when he lost his mom and had to be independent. It was extremely difficult for him because he had always depended on her to do everything for him, and she was suddenly no more. Sean died of complications that arose from an infection. After his passing, his father told his supporters via a Facebook post, ending it by saying this: "Sean lost the battle, but I'm happy that he finally gets to be at peace with his mother, away from the struggles we have with our bodies in this world. Rest in peace, Sean." Number 4. Robert BUCHEL. Robert BUCHEL's episode of My 600 Pound Life aired in 2018, a few months after it was filmed. This is because, unlike Sean, who died a few years after his filming, Robert died during the filming. At the age of 41, he weighed in at around 850 pounds.
It's physically draining, mentally, emotionally taxing.
At the time of filming, he was living with his fiancée who acted as his primary caregiver. He had to be bathed and could only do as much as sit up in his bed.
It's not a pain or life I wish on anyone, because I can't do anything. I can't do anything for anyone, especially myself.
He had a lot of love on his side from his fiancée and his mother, and with their love and support, Robert was able to lose about 350 pounds, including a surgery he did to remove some of the excess fat. Although things started fairly well for Robert, they took a drastic turn after his lymphedema mass surgery. After the surgery, Robert became addicted to painkillers, and this had a tremendously negative effect on his health. At one point, he began tearing up his stitches just so the doctor could give him some more painkillers. It was as a result of this addiction and his weight that Robert suffered a tragic demise in November of 2017. After his death, things went bad for Catherine, his fiancée. In an interview, she mentioned that although most people were fairly understanding of her situation, there were many others who blamed her for Robert's death after the episode aired in 2018. Rest in peace, Robert. Number 3. Lisa Fleming. Lisa Fleming was a princess in the eyes of her father. She was the only girl with 5 brothers, and so her father spoiled her very much. He would always tell her he loved her and would treat her like the special child she was. Her mother, on the other hand, was not very vocal with her praises. Instead of telling her how much she loved her, she would often just cook her whatever she wanted. That was her way of showing her daughter that she loved her. But Lisa's love-hate relationship with food started when her mother started using food as not just a form of endearment, but also as punishment. While on the show, she talked about one time when she asked her mom for a cake, but her mom didn't let her have any. Like any spoiled child, she didn't know how to take no for an answer, and so she swiped her hand through the top of the cake, collecting the icing. When her mom got back, she got so mad that she forced Lisa to finish the whole cake. Things took a turn for the worst when Lisa's parents got divorced when she was just 9 years old. She began to take solace in food. Every night she would have a bowl of ice cream in her bed. She had her special bowl and the special spoon that she used for this nightly ritual. At just 11 years old, she had become 120 pounds. Her addiction to food continued this way until she was completely bedridden. In fact, the medical team who moved her to the hospital had to reinforce the ramp to her house, and it took 9 men to lift her. Sadly, in August 2018, she passed away. Although the medical result as to the cause of death is unknown, it's obvious to all who watched the show that it was caused as a result of her weight. Number 2. James Bonner. James Bonner, or JB, as he was often referred to on the show, was actually one of the slimmer people to be on the show. Unlike every other person we've talked about so far, JB wasn't bedridden. In fact, he was able to move fairly comfortably and even drove. His problems were clearly much more than his weight. James was adopted as a baby by his family. He was an only child. Growing up, he started to feel like a burden to his family, always feeling inadequate and not good enough. His mom didn't help the situation much, as he said she was quite a handful, always reminding him of where he ought to be in comparison to where he was at the moment. Although, while he was on the show, JB was able to lose some weight, his mental health still suffered tremendously. He saw a shrink to whom he explained that the only thing he wanted out of life was the approval of his family.
I've never done therapy before, and the thought of it doesn't appeal to me. But things are getting worse between me and my mom, and I want to change that.
His therapist explained to him that he had to first see value in himself, as the approval of people might never come.
It's okay to separate yourself from circumstances or people if those things are unhealthy for you.
On the day of the tragedy, he made a 911 call trying to let the authorities know what he was about to do. However, the audio wasn't audible, and this led to the 911 operator turning off the phone. This was quickly followed by his mother placing a 911 call to let the authorities know that her son had been sending messages that he was contemplating taking his life. He had called his family and told them he loved them, called the producers of the show, and was making statements that suggested what he was about to do. Sadly, when he was found, it was too late. Through the use of a firearm, James Bonner had taken his own life. Number 1. Kelly Mason. Our final story today is one that's sad because of how much she fought. Although she was not bedridden, Kelly had major issues moving about. She struggled to lift herself up, and getting up the stairs was a daunting task she had to undergo every day. Even washing herself was no mean feat, as she most times wasn't able to get under every fold and every layer of skin. Her problems have been around for as long as she has been around. Her mom traveled a lot, so she had to grow up with her grandparents. This was fine until her grandpa died in front of her and her grandma moved into a senior citizen's home. She felt abandoned and had to go live with her mom. Her mom didn't cook, so they would always eat out, and this started her love for junk food. It got worse when she was abused by a man in the neighborhood when she was just 9 years old. At age 12, she already weighed 200 pounds. To further add to her trauma, after her grandmother passed away, she told her mother about the abuse, and her mother did nothing about it, and only told her to forget. This made her feel very alone, and so she stuck to food for comfort. 2 months after she got into college, she got pregnant, and her baby daddy was abusive. She left the relationship but wanted to keep the baby because she thought it would finally love her the way she wanted. Sadly, 7 months into the pregnancy, she had a miscarriage, and that was the last straw for Kelly. After the pregnancy, she weighed 500 pounds and didn't care anymore. She just kept on eating and eating. On the show, however, she was ready to turn her life around. She had lost 200 pounds with the help of Dr. Now, and an extra 100 pounds through a surgery.
When a patient gets over 400, 500, 600 pounds, their heart starts to struggle to pump blood to every part of the body. Because your heart is very weak right now, and we have to address that immediately. Okay. Because if we don't do it now, you're not going to survive much longer.
She was already discharged from the hospital when she suffered a tragic heart attack in February 2019. although she didn't go back to her old lifestyle, causing her to suffer from heart problems that led to her tragic demise. Thank you for watching today's video. Make sure to subscribe to our channel for more videos on your favorite TV shows and tap one of the 2 videos on screen for another amazing video.